Hello everyone, my name is Ingrid Meller and I'm one of our therapeutic art instructors, and in this video I'm going to show you a few different ways that you can make your own sketchbook at home. So last week, if some of you were with me, we made a my favorite things drawing, and over the next few weeks we're going to be doing a lot of different drawing activities. So having your own sketchbook is something that you can use for that. It's something that you can draw whatever you feel like or write how you're feeling in. And it's just really nice little thing to have around for when you want to draw a little bit. So I'm going to show you ways that you can make your own using things that you probably already have in your house in case you don't already have a sketchbook. And then in the comment section, I'll put the materials, and I'm also going to put a few different ideas for things that you can draw. So the main thing that you're going to need is just paper. So any kind that you have will work. I had some loose paper that was in an old sketchbook. If you have like computer paper, that's fine. Construction paper, whatever you have. So you're going to take your paper and then you're going to fold all the pieces into each other. And I recommend using at least like 5 pieces of paper so that your sketchbook is 10 pages. But if you want to use more, you are welcome to do that too. So once you have your paper folded in half, you can use any of the different ways that I'm going to show you to make your sketchbook. So the simplest one is to use a piece of long string. If you don't have string and you had ribbon, you could also use that. You're going to take it and put it in the middle, or actually the outside spine of your sketchbook. So along the line, you can see. And then on the inside of your sketchbook is where the ends of the string are going to be. And you'll tie that into a knot. And you're going to do that as tight as you possibly can, just like you're double knotting your shoelace. So tie it once, well, as tight as you can without making the paper move or rip. And then I'll do a second knot to make it into a double knot. And there you have it. So it's tied on the inside. And now I have a little sketchbook that's tied together. Okay. Another thing that you could use for that if you don't have string is if you had like a really long rubber band. So I can take my string out so I can show you that. You could take your rubber band and then take the page and it would go over the edge of your page. But that's only if you have a super stretchy rubber band like this one. And then it'll stay in place like this. You can see it doesn't really move. And there you have the pages together. Another way that you could do it with a string, which is a little more advanced than the first way that I showed you, is you can take your paper when it's folded and you can cut, I already did it, but to see, you would just cut a little bit close to the edge on this side, one as close to the middle as you can get it, and then one on the other side, not all the way at the edge, but a little bit from it. And this is kind of like sewing, if any of you know how to sew. So you take your string and then you put it through the holes that you created. So you can see it went through the top hole like this. And then you'll put one, it'll come out, and then it's going to go through the middle hole. If this one is frustrating to you, if you're one of the younger kids doing this, don't worry. It's just, even adults sometimes have trouble doing this one. But if you want your sketchbook to look really fancy and you are up to the challenge today, you can definitely try this. Okay, so now it's going to come out of the middle like this. And then your last hole, so the other end here, it's going to go back through that. Sometimes I have a little trouble getting it through the hole, so if you use like a pencil, or this is a bookmark that I have, you can help it go through the hole. Okay, so now I have it through this hole, and then the last place it's going to go, so the one that came out this side, so you see you already have a string here, but there's no string here. It's going to go back into this hole. And that's usually the hardest one to do because you've already got a string going through that hole. So if you use a pencil or something, you can get it through easier. If you had a hole puncher at home too, instead of cutting it with the scissors like I did, you could definitely use your hole puncher to make the holes in the middle, and that would be easier. I just did it with a scissor in case people don't have that at home. Okay. And now we're back with the 2 strings on the inside of our little sketchbook. And then you're just going to tie it in the middle, kind of like you did the first way that I showed you. So just do a double knot, and then you might have like kind of long strings, so you could just cut these because you don't need them to be that long. And this is actually the way that a lot of books used to be made. Now they have machines and things to do that, but this is like an old school way to make a book. So now you've got it all the way tied through. It's good and secure. It looks kind of pretty. If you have, my string is the same color, but if you had a ribbon, that would be really nice. And then the last thing that you're going to want to make is going to be your cover. So for the cover, you could either put another piece of paper like glued over it if you're doing it this way. So I have this paper, I have 2 pieces of it. And if I were keeping it like this, I would just glue on each side of it like that, and then it would look like I had a cover. If you don't have paper, you could also use wrapping paper. You could use like a magazine picture, make a collage that you like. You could just draw like your name and that this is your sketchbook or your journal. Whatever you want to do to make your cover, you can. And then the other way that you could do it is if you had like a piece of paper that went all the way around it, and you could just tape it on or use it when you bind it together. And then the last way that I'll show you that you could do your sketchbook if you do have a hole puncher at home is you take your hole puncher and you would do 3 punches, so 1 here, 1 here, and 1 here. And you would do the same thing for your cover. And then, so I'll show you. So your cover, you would do a hole punch in the same spot. And then instead of your string going across, you would just take like a little string and you would tie it through here. And through the book, and then it would just tie around the edge like this. And you would do that here, here, and here to do that 3 times. So I'm not going to do that one all the way because I already binded my book, and that one's a little more complicated because you need a hole punch, but that is a way that you could do it if you have one. So then, imagining that I had glued this on, I would have my cover, and my whole book would be done, and it would open up like this. You would have your full sketchbook. So you can, again, do any of the drawings that I'm going to be showing you in the next couple of weeks, or the ones that either Alicia or me did last week. You can do those in your sketchbook. You can draw anything that you see, any of your favorite things, or your plants, or trees, yourself, whatever you want to do. It is your sketchbook to fill, and I hope that you all will enjoy it. Now I will see you all again next week. Thanks.